This episode is brought to you by Blueprint Health. Blueprint Health is a measurement-based care platform for mental health providers. You can find out more about them by going to practiceoftherapy.com/blueprinthealth. And also, this episode is brought to you by TherapyNotes, therapynotes.com, the leading electronic health record system for mental health providers in private practice. They're who I use in my practice. Check them out at practiceoftherapy.com/therapynotes. This is the Practice of Therapy podcast with Gordon Brewer, helping you to navigate your private practice journey. This is session number 193 of the Practice of Therapy podcast. Hello, everyone. I'm Gordon Brewer. Glad you've joined me for the podcast. Hope you're having a good end of August as this particular episode is coming out. It's hard to believe that we're through this month already and that the kids are back in school and, fall is approaching faster than I realized. I just, a lot of times I'll look at my calendar and think, dang, where did time go? So, but anyway, hope you're having a good transition into fall. I guess this time of year is when we think about all of that. I'm really looking forward to you hearing from my guest today, Russell DuBois. Russell is the founder of a company that happened upon, and we started a conversation called Blueprint Health. And Blueprint Health provides measurement-based outcome applications that people can use in their practices to really help them be more measurable with their outcomes in their practices. And so I'm really looking forward to you hearing from Russell, and also just happy that Blueprint's one of our new sponsors of the podcast, and you're going to get to hear more about them as we move forward. But anyway, we'll get to Russell here in a minute, and looking forward to you listening in on my conversation with him. The other things I wanted to let you know about is that I'm still in the pre-launch of my new course on using Google Workspace as a practice platform. And if you'll go over to practiceoftherapy.com, just GWS platform, you can check that out. And this is a course that really piggybacks on my other course, Google Workspace for Therapists, and where we dive in a little deeper into using the different tools of Google Workspace in your practice, particularly for the business side of things and just the things that aren't necessarily always clinical. I use a combination of Google Workspace and TherapyNotes for my practice. But again, this course is in the pre-launch, and you can get it at a pretty significant discount during this pre-launch period. Hope to have everything up fully by mid-September or so. It's taking a little longer than I anticipated because I keep adding to it. And there's going to be a whole lot of content there and a lot of templates available for you to use within Google Workspace. So be sure and check that out. practiceoftherapy.com/GWS platform. And also, I want you to be sure and check out an upcoming CE event or CE course that my friend and colleague Whitney Owens and her husband James Owens are putting together in conjunction with PsychMaven, David Hall's platform, on using the Enneagram within your practice. And I've gotten really interested and into the Enneagram over this last year and starting to incorporate it more with my clinical work and then also with my staff, just really heavily having a way to better understand the motivations that people have behind their behavior and what drives them in their lives. So it's going to be a great course, and I think you'll get like 10 hours of CEUs with this course. But I'm I'm just promoting this for them because I feel like it's just a great course that's coming up. So if you'll go over to practiceoftherapy.com/Enneagram course, and there'll be links here in the show notes and the show summary that you can get to it easily just using those links. So be sure and check it out. I'm going to be in the course. I've enrolled in it and looking forward to doing that course that's coming up in a few more weeks. So be sure and check it out. Before we get to my conversation with Russell, I'd like for you to hear from some of our sponsors for the podcast. Running a great behavioral health practice is hard. If you're insurance-based, payers are demanding more and more measurable outcomes. Therapists are getting harder than ever to hire and find, and clients expect digitally enabled care experience. Introducing Blueprint, the all-in-one measurement-based care platform that helps behavioral health providers grow top-line practice revenue, increase clinician satisfaction, and deliver more effective care. Blueprint's intuitive platform administers, scores, and charts hundreds of symptom ratings to give clinicians deeper insights into how clients are progressing. And you may be eligible to earn additional reimbursement for each administered outcome measure. Get your first month free by going to practiceoftherapy.com/blueprint health. That's practiceoftherapy.com/blueprint health. In running a private practice, you need to have excellent systems and processes in place. And one of the leading electronic health record systems that you need to check out is TherapyNotes. They're who I use in my practice. TherapyNotes provides a patient portal, also the ability to schedule online, send appointment reminders, also handle your collections, insurance claims. It's all in one platform for the clinical side of your practice. And they also have telehealth available through their platform. As I said, they are who I use in my practice and couldn't do without them. So be sure and check them out. Go to practiceoftherapy.com/therapynotes and you'll be able to see what they have available. And also be sure and use the promo code Gordon, just GORDON, and you can try them out for 2 months for free. That's TherapyNotes at practiceoftherapy.com/therapynotes. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome again to the podcast. And I'm excited for you all to get to know Russell DuBois. And Russell, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's great being here.
Yes. And so what I'm excited about with this is that, every now and then, most of the time with the podcast, we talk about the business side of things. But one of the things that I'm excited about you learning from Russell is their company, Blueprint Health, and the evidence-based practice measurements that they put in place that really can help us on the business side of things, particularly for those of us that are insurance-based. So, Russell, as I start with everyone, tell folks a little more about yourself and how you've landed where you've landed and something about your background.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, let's see, I'm a psychologist by trade. Currently, I direct the clinical operations and customer success teams at a company called Blueprint. We are a software company that develops digital tools for mental health providers to deliver the best possible care, as well as for group of practice owners to help scale their business. We're especially focused on this idea of measurement-based care. So I've been operating in the behavioral health technology space for a couple of years now, but that wasn't always the case and certainly wasn't the plan. When I was going through my doctoral training and beyond as well, I really had planned to stay in academia and pursue a career in research. And at that time, I was really interested in what's called clinical data science, which is basically a field dedicated to understanding how we can use different forms of data to inform, enhance, and predict clinical care that we provide. So I was working with some amazing people, some leaders in the field, and sort of in that context was feeling really optimistic about our work and that we were making a difference. And during that time, as you do in a clinically focused psychology program, part of my training was also actually doing therapy, like working out in the field. And so alongside my research life, doing all this sort of clinical data science stuff, I went out and found some jobs as a therapist. I worked in most all different kinds of care settings, from private and group practice, residential treatment centers, state hospitals, did a lot of work with children and families. So sort of the whole care spectrum. And through these experiences working directly in these different types of therapy settings, there were two sort of lessons that I learned. One was that most therapists out there, myself included, didn't have the tools and resources needed to make it a bit easier on us to provide top quality care without feeling burnt out. Like we're all trying our best, but sometimes it can be challenging to effectively manage, a caseload of 25, 30 clients. I know some of you out there see way more than that, which is amazing. But it's hard. Like it's hard to keep up and be effective and stay engaged day in and day out when you're doing therapy full time. And all the cool stuff I was working on in the research lab are wonderful tools that can and do make our lives easier. But in the real world clinical setting, nobody was actually practicing this way.
Right.
And the second lesson was that a lot of therapists out there historically don't really care all that much about clinical data science. Like it's not a topic that you go out with your therapist friends and sort of talk about at lunch. Like the culture is not measurement focused, which for me was so unfortunate because I had seen how leveraging data in the work that we do is sort of the secret sauce that can add value in all aspects of a therapy business. And so that's sort of a long-winded way of saying that, through these lessons, I became really interested in how we can sort of translate some of this like nerdy clinical data science, measurement-based care stuff, like this stuff that truly can change the way we provide care, and bring it to the everyday therapist or group practice owner out there who may have never otherwise thought to practice this way, and do so in a way that's fun, engaging, and that is approachable and just makes sense regardless of who you are and what type of work that you do. So I left the research space. I connected with some smart people in the field who were not clinical at all, but wanted to help solve these same problems and begin to change the culture around measurement and technology. And one thing led to the next. Blueprint was born with these aspirations in mind. And here I am.
Oh, yeah. I love that backstory because I think that is something that I think for a lot of us that go into private practice, clinical outcomes, we learn about it in school and we learn about it in grad school and all of that. But like you said earlier, it kind of can take the back burner. But that it's interesting that you say that that's also what I think leads to burnout with folks. You want to say more about that?
As I was saying, it's, we're all busy. We're all strapped for time. We're all struggling to keep up with the requirements of what it takes to be a therapist, whether it's, not only seeing clients, but showing up emotionally for them and being ready for what is entailed in the process of therapy, to the documentation, to sort of everything else. And because of that, I think one observation I've made is that a lot of us really go into our therapy sessions blind. Like we sort of do the same thing. We, clients show up every week. We ask how things are going, and it gets really repetitive and it gets really difficult, especially if you're doing therapy full time and have been doing that for a long time. And so that's sort of at the heart of burnout. I think a big piece of burnout too is losing a sense of curiosity in the work that you do. I think being curious about your work and about your clients and just about change in general is really at the heart of staying engaged as a therapist. And so one of the really exciting things about, I think, measurement-based care in general, but specifically about Blueprint and the tools that we provide, is it helps you, number one, be much more informed about your clients and their lived experiences. If you have a lot of information that you can learn and use during session just to help you out, so you aren't sort of flying by the seat of your pants. But I think like an unhidden gem as well is it sparks this sense of curiosity, where when you're able to collect information, get data about your clients that you never thought you would otherwise, you can approach your work with clients in a really curious way, which I think is healthy from a burnout perspective.
Right. Yeah. It's, what I was thinking of as you were saying that is that a lot of times, and I'm sure others have experienced this, after the session is over, particularly those intake sessions, you start thinking about it and say, oh, I wish I would have asked this. I wish I would have asked that. And I had the pleasure of getting to see a demo of the Blueprint platform this past week. And what I love about it is that it's really geared to asking the right questions. To really get solid data about things. Do you want to maybe, Russell, tell folks a little bit about how you kind of pulled all this together and kind of, what were how did you know what measures to start with and all of that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'd say we relied heavily on all of our wonderful partners who we've worked with throughout the years. We've been going for almost 3 years now. And, when we first started, it was just a very small, amount of us. There's only a handful of people on the team. We had just a handful of therapists who were using our platform. And, now it's amazing to see our growth. We're across, I want to say 35 plus states. We have over 100,000 clients on the platform. We've really grown, and a lot of that growth was listening to our customers, listening to both the therapists and the clients who were using Blueprint and sort of co-growing with them. So that's a big part of it, is we didn't come into this feeling like we knew everything. Here's exactly what the therapy space needs. I know best, and I'm just going to roll it out. We really took a different stance on how can we listen to the needs and the problems that are being experienced by therapists out there and create a wonderful product and wonderful therapist experience based on those stories. And so, in light of that, we started small. The measures that we use, there's some common ones out there. The PHQ-9 people might be aware of for depression. The GAD-7's another common one. And, we've since grown from there. But yeah, that's kind of the backstory as to the creation and how we've grown. And the other thing I'll add there is alongside all of that, we've grown a beautiful and wonderful team. The people that I work with every day are absolutely amazing. And the important piece is they come from all different kinds of backgrounds. And that's really important because you want diversity of thought, and you want people to have different perspectives on the type of stuff that you're building. And so I think it's the combination of us being willing to listen to the needs and the wants of the therapy field and growing this amazing team that sort of got us to where we are right now.
Right. Well, I love the concept. And so 2 questions for you, and these can maybe kind of piggyback on each other. Number one is just maybe explain not a question, but a statement, but maybe explain to folks a little bit about how the platform works. And then number 2 is why would they want to use it?
Yeah, those are excellent questions. So at a basic level, Blueprint is a digital platform that operates at 3 different levels. So first level is clients, clients who are in care, who are seeking therapy or who are currently receiving therapy can sign up for Blueprint. We have a mobile app that clients can download. And through the Blueprint app, they can track really important information about their mental health and wellness. So They can track things like trends in their mood and their energy. They can record their sleep quality and social engagement over time. We even have what's called passive behavioral data. So clients can connect their Blueprint app to their GPS and their health kit on their phone, so that they can track number of steps taken each day. They can track number of hours spent at home each day, like home stay is what we call it. So some really pretty advanced things. And in light of that, it's a wonderful tool for clients to use to improve self-awareness and hopefully getting clients interested in just understanding themselves a little bit better. At the next level up, clinicians or therapists can use Blueprint to become more informed about their clients. So they can assign a variety of different measures that we have. We have all different types of screening measures, outcome measures. We have process measures as well. We're a very big fan on aligning the measurements library that our partners have with the type of work that they do. So there's this misconception that, measurement-based care is this like medically feeling thing where you can only track, pathology and that type of thing, but very much can be done in a warm and welcoming way. So we have measures on couple satisfaction, on family cohesion, mindfulness, whatever it is. There's probably a measure for it that's on Blueprint. And so, through that process, clinicians or therapists can get access to all this information in real time, just to help learn and educate themselves about their clients and their progress over time. And that sort of cultivates in what we call measurement-based care. So clinicians can use Blueprints, can rely on this data to provide this higher quality measurement-based care. And then the sort of last level up is at the group practice owner level, where Blueprint's an easy way to track and report on population outcomes, as well as grow their revenue through submitting insurance claims for Blueprint assessments. And then also there's this new trend where, a lot of you group practice owners out there are going to have to start to adapt to this new emerging values-based contract field, where some of the payers out there are going to start changing contract types from fee-for-service to these performance-based contracts. And so, that's sort of the three different levels of Blueprint. And in terms of why people should care, I think, there's a lot to sort of say about that. First and foremost, measurement-based care improves client outcomes. Like that's what we all want, right? And it's a easy and simple way to be a better therapist is to start integrating measurement into practice. And we've created an experience that's really easy to do that. So you don't need to be a data scientist. You don't need to have any measurement background. It's all sort of done for you, just for you to practice at the height of your license. Client engagement is another big one as well. It's almost like a secondary gain where, there's a lot of research out there, and we've found as well that when clients experience this measurement-based care, their engagement in treatment actually goes up. So there's a study recently published that found that measurement-based care reduced dropout rates by 20%. So from a group practice owner perspective, like that's a pretty important thing to be aware of, and certainly can have revenue implications if you have clients who are no showing and their appointments aren't being filled. There's a lot of untapped revenue through the ability to submit insurance claims for assessments, and a lot of people don't know that, but there's CPT codes out there where you can bill for different types of assessments in different ways. And it can be a wonderful way to get another revenue stream into your practice.
Wow. And I think that's something that you just taught me that. I hadn't really thought about that kind of way of thinking about it. But, the other thing that is occurs to me is just really on the whole client patient side of things. Of them really being able to see for themselves the value of coming to therapy, because I think a lot of times for me, I know in just doing the work that I've done is that a lot of times, we'll ask clients, at the beginning of a session, well, how are you doing? How do you feel like do you think things are getting better? And a lot of times just change occurs so incrementally for them that they really don't recognize the change they've gone through. And so an assessment like this can really kind of show them the change. I know in the past, one of the things that I've done is had clients just kind of track their mood, give it a score each day. And let's kind of look at what your mood has been like over the last week or two. And so I love that this gives more meat to that and being able to give a true measure of what's going on with a client internally.
Totally. I would completely agree. And we've heard so many stories about that clients feel validated to be able to look back and actually visually see the progress that they've made. I'd say at the same time too, we've certainly seen that clients feel a sense of validation as well when you put a number to their struggling, because oftentimes it can be difficult for clients to understand their own mental health, and they want to get a better understanding and grasp on it. And there can be, it can be a really normalizing experience to say, hey, it sounds like you're experiencing depression or anxiety or whatever it might be. And we have this tool that's actually validating that. Like here's where you stand. How do you agree with this? Do you not agree with this? But being able to put out there, on a screen or on a graph, a client's experience, as long as they're feeling comfortable enough to have a conversation around it. Like you aren't just saying, here's where you are, that's it. But if you include the client, as a collaborator in understanding their information, it can be a really validating and normalizing experience for them.
Right. Yeah. And it's a concept that, what comes to mind are just kind of like dieting or fitness apps. It's a big motivator for people to be able to say, okay, I can track my progress here to see how well I'm doing with these goals I've set for myself. So I think it would just really be a big value add for clients on that front.
Yeah, and it's so interesting too, because I think we're getting to a place where clients are expecting their care to be digitally enabled or data driven in some way. Like if you think of the amount of things in just a person's life that are digital and data driven, it's amazing. Like if you order a pizza, you can see in real time where it is.
Right.
Your phone can display back all this information. Like whether we like it or not, I think we're moving into an era where just individuals are understanding themselves in part through data. And so I think we owe it to ourselves as a field to figure out how we can align with that mindset.
Right. Well, I know one question that will come up for folks is just, when we think about data and sharing information, particularly online and all of that sort of thing, one thing that comes up is the big brother called HIPAA. Or I try to discourage people to think about it that way. It's really just keeping information confidential. But you want to maybe say a little bit about how that how Blueprint takes that into consideration and all of that.
Of course, yeah, and like data privacy, I think is what we do and care about more than anything else. We want to be sensitive to this information because it's highly personal information, and it's worth noting that we are HIPAA compliant. We are very much aligned with all of the standards in accordance with HIPAA. We are also SOC 2 compliant, so we went through a sort of external review process and sort of met all of the gold standard criteria there. So very much, have data security and privacy top of mind. All of the data that comes into Blueprint is owned by the clinics and by the clients themselves. So we don't sell any data. We don't do anything without very explicit consent and very specific use cases. For example, if we're partnering with a clinic on a research study, right? There's a sort of separate procedure there with its own consent process. But, if you're a therapist out there and you sign up for Blueprint, you have full rights over that data. And I think part of it too is explaining to clients and setting that expectation, because they're the ones that are going to care the most about it. And so a nice thing about Blueprint as well is we have sort of client-facing language that explains that to clients as well. And so they're not feeling like, oh, what's going to happen with my data, or are they going to sell it to somebody else? So it's all, as out there and clear as possible.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's good to know. Well, I know that folks hear from me all the time the importance of knowing your numbers. And most of the time when I say that, I'm usually referring to kind of the business side of things, your financials and that sort of thing. But what I love about this is adding to that by knowing your clinical numbers in terms of being able to really see the efficacy of what you're doing, and to really get not only would it be rewarding to the client, but also to those of us in practice to feel like our work is really meaningful and that what we're doing is actually helping people.
I absolutely love that. And what's so interesting is that up until recently, with the advent of these types of measurement tools, it was almost impossible as a group practice owner to know, like, how effective is my practice? Like, how are clients improving over time? And is that changing? Like, maybe as I scale, and I hire more therapists, like, is the practice effectiveness going up? Is it going down? And it's so exciting for me to see this evolution where we can actually provide group practice owners with really simple and easy to understand information about their clinical numbers, about how things are going, and how things are changing over time. So that's very exciting.
Yes. Well, Russell, I'm excited about learning about Blueprint Health and all that it's going to be doing. In fact, one of the things I want to just announce for this episode is we've kind of formed a partnership, and that we're going to allow people to, there'll be links here in the show summary and show notes once we get that link up and going here, for people to try it out for a month and to be able to, do a test drive of this wonderful thing in their practice. And so, Russell, tell folks how they can get in touch with you and find out more.
Yeah, pretty simple. So best way to do that would be to go to our website, as Gordon said, it's www.blueprint-health.com. Feel free to also email me directly at Russell, it's RUSSELL, at blueprint-health.com. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I'll also say too that we have a lot of fun webinars and workshops. We're really big on education and just spreading the word about measurement-based care. So all that information should be up on our website as well.
Well, Russell, I'm so glad you joined me today. I think this is one of the best episodes I've had on the clinical side of things in a while, and I'm excited to know more about Blueprint. Well, I'm so thankful for Russell having been on the podcast, and I'm really excited about this new platform, or at least new to me, and I'm discovering it and learning more and more about it. I got to see a demo of the platform from Blueprint Health, and it was very impressive. And I think for those of us that really like to have evidence-based outcomes and measurement-based outcomes, this is going to be kind of the wave of the future. And I'm pleased that Blueprint Health is helping sponsor the podcast, and I'm glad to partner with them on this. But I've set up just a pretty link so that you can get to their stuff pretty easily by going to practiceoftherapy.com/Blueprint Health. And that's a landing page set up specifically for the listeners of Practice of Therapy and the podcast. And if you use that link, you can get 1 month of their services, or try it out for 1 month at no cost to you. So be sure and check that out. And again, that's practiceoftherapy.com/Blueprint Blueprint Health. And that'll get you to the right place. And also a big thanks again to our other sponsor, TherapyNotes. And if you'll go to practiceoftherapy.com/therapynotes, you can check them out. And be sure and use the promo code Gordon, Gordon, and you can get 2 months of their services for free. TherapyNotes is who I use in my practice, and don't intend on giving up that platform because it's just constantly getting better, and I'm really pleased with the outcomes we get with that. So be sure and check it out, practiceoftherapy.com/therapynotes. And also be sure and check out the upcoming pre-launch of the Using Google Workspace as a Practice Platform course that I've got coming out. And when you enroll in the course at this early bird stage, you'll get lifetime access to it. So again, you can find that at practiceoftherapy.com/GWS platform. And also the Enneagram course that's upcoming with Whitney and James Owens and David Hall are putting together this 2-day online event that's going to give you just everything you wanted to know about the Enneagram and how to use it in your practice. So you can check that out at practiceoftherapy.com/Enneagram course. And I think that's it for today for this particular episode. So glad you've joined me. Be sure and take time to follow us on whatever podcatcher you might be listening to us on, whether it be Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Spotify or any of the other numerous podcatchers out there. And be sure to leave us a review and a rating, and that'll just make it easier for other people to find us. And so glad you're with me on this journey, and I've got lots of great guests lined up for future episodes, and looking forward to you hearing from them. And thanks again for being with me. You have been listening to the Practice of Therapy podcast with Gordon Brewer. Please visit us at practiceoftherapy.com for more information, resources, and tools to help you in starting, building, and growing your private practice. And if you haven't done so already, please sign up to receive the free private practice startup guide at practiceoftherapy.com. The information in this podcast is intended to be accurate and authoritative concerning the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, or producers are rendering legal, accounting, or clinical advice. If you need a professional, you should find the right person for that.